I want to talk a little bit about the idea of a federal army. Now, this has been something that's been talked about more in the last month or so. And in Myanmar, essentially what you have is they have the Myanmar military, which has a lot of money. They're very large. And they have been fighting for decades, in some cases. The longest is, 60, 70 years. They've been fighting some of these other ethnic armies. So in Myanmar, you have 135 odd ethnic groups. And some of these ethnic groups, they've been fighting the Myanmar military on their own in these sort of like small sort of civil wars, fighting the Myanmar military and in some cases each other for decades. Even over the past 10 years, as the country went towards, more of a democratic rule, it actually turned out that the Myanmar military was creating more of these problems, and there was more of these challenges that were going on. So the idea of a federal army is that in Myanmar, the people, regular people, they don't have any weapons, they don't have any guns, and if you've seen any information, you might see, army security forces in the streets with semi-automatic weapons, with grenades, things like that. And if you ever do see protesters that are fighting back, they have slingshots and they have shields that are made of, lids, metal lids from garbage cans, that sort of thing. That's the gap that is being dealt with these days. The idea of a federal army is that there would be an army to fight the Myanmar military. So, and one of the ideas with that is that a lot of these different ethnic groups, that they may come together to kind of to fight the Myanmar military. Now, even if that's the case, they're spread out, they don't have nearly the resources, and they're a fraction of the size of the Myanmar military. But it is a something, and when they talk about Myanmar, going towards like civil war, in some ways you could say that the country has been at civil war in some particular areas for decades. But that's one of the things that that's being spoken about. Whether or not it'll happen will depend a little bit about whether or not these ethnic groups can come to terms, can agree, especially ones that have been fighting each other for many, many years, and having a seat at the table for whenever the new government, hopefully once the military goes away, comes into play, and maybe the CRPH will be a big part of that.